So the text starts with what is called an invocation or paying homage. That's a tradition. It was a tradition in India, and the Tibetans they continued that tradition. So it's usually that the author of the text starts with paying homage, and in the case of this text, Togmay Sangpo is paying homage to compassion. I pay homage to compassion. So this is very beautiful. And he does it in the form, in a kind of symbolic form, Namo Lokeshwarya. Namo Lokeshwarya. Namo is I pay homage, and Lokeshwarya is short for Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, or Shenrezik in Tibetan. So paying homage to compassion, paying homage to Avalokiteshvara, is not paying homage to a being. Yeah, so these Buddha figures, like the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara or Shenrezik, they are archetypical symbols of certain qualities of the awakened heart mind. And with Avalokiteshvara particular, that aspect of warmth, of kindness, of love, of compassion, of empathy, of caring. There is another famous Indian text which starts the same way, so homage to compassion. And that is a text by Chandakirti, a text about wisdom. Chandakirti was an Indian master, and his texts are very important in the Tibetan tradition, where also Chandakirti starts with I pay homage to compassion. I mean, isn't that something worth to fall onto your knees and bow? Compassion. Not as something kind of grand out there, which can save you, but actually as a confirmation of what is really important in your life. So you, by bowing to Avalokiteshvara, you actually bow or confirm to the Avalokiteshvara inside. Which just is so eager to come out. She can't wait. Avalokiteshvara could be translated as the Lord who sees all beings. Yeah, the Lord. Well, it's also, it has this connotation of seeing, but like the loving gaze. Yeah, so the Lord who sees and who is connected with suffering, with all our suffering, who sees the world. And Chandakirti describes 3 levels of compassion, and I want to mention it because Togmay Sangpo emphasizes the 3rd kind of compassion. So the first level of compassion is not only in Buddhism is called compassion. So there's suffering. You are touched by the suffering, the ache. So there is an ache in your heart when you see suffering. Then there is the wish of may this person be free of suffering. So there's the ache, and then there's the wish. And then thirdly, because we're talking about engaged compassion here, not like, I wish you to be well, goodbye. But so the third component of compassion here, the first level of compassion, is whenever it's possible to help, to actually do something. So this is so important, because compassion needs to move you emotionally, like energy, but also in the way you relate, the way you respond. And of course, we can't invite every homeless person, but there can be something. There can be an acknowledgement, there can be a smile. So compassion is not like, oh, may all beings be happy, may all beings be happy. No, it's to smile at your coworker who is an asshole and say, may you be happy. And something happens in you. You can see it in your, compassion, you have compassion when other people notice. Yeah. Before we have not learned. Yeah. And again, this is sometimes a scary message, because we feel guilt coming up and it really starts with taking care of yourself. That's crucial. That's the first duty. To let go of the goody girl. I'm so nice, I'm so kind, yeah, and burning out while you're doing it, and starting to take care of yourself. First, learn to say no. And if you're good at that, you can spread some yes into responses. If you say yes because you're afraid to say no, then you're not a bodhisattva, you're just afraid of conflict. And that's not compassion. It's like hiding. So what is quite radical, what is a bit more radical here in the Buddhist version of the first level of compassion is it includes enemies and strangers. So it's not ethnocentric, right? Either like my family or my tribe or my country. So it's world-centric or cosmocentric even. So that's already a bit different than in other kinds of compassion. It can be quite like ethnocentric. My tribe. I'm compassionate to my tribe, but not so compassionate towards other tribes. So the second level of compassion is there's more wisdom in. The wisdom aspect is a bit stronger. And in the second level of compassion is a compassion which is combined with the recognition of the non-static, impermanent nature of all things. So the first level of compassion is very much like, so I am here, and there's suffering beings, and they're separate, and I have compassion. And this kind of compassion, of course, gives room for a lot of neurotic stuff coming in. What Togmay Sangpo calls idiot compassion. Like being like helping others, but it's actually a cry for help. Helping others, but the Instagram photo of it is much more important than actually doing it. Or helping others and there's some manipulation in it. giving a gift, but it's actually manipulating people. Or helping others and having an agenda. Wanting it to go the way you think is the best for that person. Shut up, I know what's best for you. I'm your mother. So this dualistic split breeds all this contamination. Yeah? This contamination of something very, very beautiful and very pure, but it gets contaminated, poisoned by hidden motives and wounds. Yeah, and then it's a kind of, it's just a cover. Yeah? It's a facade. So in the second level of compassion goes a bit deeper into reality. So sees reality more how it is, changing, flowing, interconnected, vibrating all the time. And what is a specific kind of symptom of that kind of compassion is that you have compassion to people who are well, who are doing well, who are successful. Yeah? Because you see that's going, it will end into tragedy. It will end into loss, death, and disappointment and dissatisfaction. Yeah. And that's not usually. We have this kind of compassion, which is like, okay, there's someone suffering. There might be even a bit of above, like a puffed upness. Oh yeah, they are so suffering, and I can help them. And here the second level of compassion, there is a softness and kind of sadness, a compassion towards people who are successful and they believe that their happiness is coming from that success. And you can see that it's not. So if I meet someone who tells me, "Wow, I'm really happy, and my life is going so well, my job, and I'm healthy, and I have 2 children, I have this wonderful wife, and we live outside of Zurich in this villa, and we have 2 Tesla." I mean, it's not that I wish this person bad, but it also makes me sad, because it's a sandcastle. And if we look really deep, then we can discover that these temporary successes in our life, they are not really satisfying. They are not really the water of life we want to drink. What's the water of life to drink? That's love. That's really satisfying. And that also withstands then if Tesla goes bankrupt and you lose your job and all kinds of stuff happening with your children which you didn't plan. So that's the second level of compassion. But now the third level of compassion, that's called non-dual compassion or objectless compassion. And this is what Avalokiteshvara is a symbol of. Non-dual compassion. So not two, not the one here who is helping and the one who needs help, but a compassion which is naturally born from the inside, that we are one body. And that taking care of others is taking care of yourself. So there is no oh, I am the, I can give advice to people. There's nothing of that. So, and it's completely natural. It's not a big deal. I mean, this hand takes care of the foot because it's recognized as being part of one body. And when the foot rots, the whole body dies. Whereas we are like an organ which has separated itself from the body through a conceptual process called selfing, and then can act in the most stupid ways towards its own body. So when let's say the liver got a bit confused, yeah, and started to develop this process of selfing, it's a cognitive process. Like, I mean, it's a manner, and you can imagine that suddenly the liver is kind of developing a little frontal cortex, yeah, like, and then that's the only place on this planet where this process actually lives. The selfing process is the human frontal cortex. It's a small area, but very important area. So the liver contracts into I, yeah, and identifies with that perspective, and really feels. I mean, this is how we feel if we don't reflect or if we don't deconstruct that. We feel that we are somehow locked here, and we look at a world which is separate from us. And this is not how it is. And as I said, it seems to be crazy to say it because it's so, I mean, everyone, I mean, this is how we live. Yeah. So when the liver realizes, hey, this is not, realize meaning see it and experience it actually. It's not like, yeah, I know there's no separate solid self. Okay, I've heard that before. How does that help me with my problems? Yeah, it helps you with your problems because if there's nobody there who could have problems, then what makes them so problematic is my problem. Yeah. And that mine, that's a mental process, a label. So when the liver realizes I am the body and experience that, sees it directly, then the liver will be the most helpful organ to everyone because it's her. You don't need to say to the liver, be good to people, because it's so much. So that's non-dual compassion. It's a spontaneous response to the reality of this universe. It's not, being compassionate and doing good deeds or something. It's completely spontaneous. And there's no, hidden agenda behind it. It's very difficult to describe, and so the third level of compassion, which Togmay Sangpo is referring to in this text, is really the union of wisdom and compassion. And Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, is a symbol of that possibility. So non-dual compassion based on the wisdom seeing reality. That's what Togmay Sangpo is teaching. So then we have not even reached the first stanza because he continues with the homage. I could also just talk about the title for the rest of the weekend. Yes. That would be definitely possible. You know, I always feel it's more important, well, maybe not, maybe I can't say it's more important. But what works for me always well is when I listen to teachings, that I feel like if I take one thing, one word, one sentence, one instruction which really hits me, and I take that and chew on it and embody it and fail in embodying it and trying it again, that's for me more satisfying, or it also brings more results for me, and I want to have results. I mean, I don't want to read a book about compassion and know all the research into compassion and I don't have results in my being, in the way I look at people. And I want the results to be so obvious that other people see it. So, just in case someone thinks we have to cover all the stanzas, because I mean, if there's something in the title which something you can take with you, or something I said about it, and it's kind of, it sticks with you, it works on you. That's precious. And then you can still read the 800 pages about compassion. So it's still part of the homage what I'm going to read. Tomorrow you get the text. You who see that experience has no coming or going. So he is praising Avalokiteshvara. You who see that experience has no coming or going. So Togmay Sangpo starts with wisdom. So this is a pointer from the wisdom category. And wisdom here, when I use wisdom this weekend, I'm talking about the wisdom of realizing emptiness, or realizing how things exist and how they don't exist. So that's wisdom. So there's all kinds of other wisdom, but when we talk about wisdom here, we are talking about the wisdom seeing reality, looking through our projections. And one of the big projections we all suffer from is the projection of separateness. So, I mean, this is like, I mean, again, this one sentence would be worth a weekend. What does he really mean with this? Yeah. So, you who see, so that's Avalokiteshvara, that experience has no coming or going. So maybe some of you are a bit familiar with the emptiness teaching. So in other words, you who see that everything is empty already. So everything empty here means it does not exist in the way it appears. It exists, but it does not exist. Like a rainbow is vividly appearing, but yeah, it exists, but it does not really exist. So you don't get overly attached to a rainbow. But we get overly attached to our iPhone, which in its substance is the same as the rainbow. So how can we look at our iPhone and still using it as our iPhone without that? Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do. To travel lighter. To be just more easygoing. Not taking things so serious. Okay, the iPhone was stolen, so what? So you travel lighter, and when you travel lighter, you are a kinder person, and you're more happy, you have more fun. So has no coming or going. This should, when we read this, it should kind of, it's like, huh? No coming or going? So there should be like a bit of a pausing. Our mind can't really like figure it out immediately. It sounds nice, like a poem, like, yeah, things have no coming or going. But what kind of experience is Togmay Sangpo, the poet, what is he describing? Usually we think, yeah, obviously, things exist solidly, separately, and they come and they go. But then when we look deeper, we see that they have no coming or going, and one can go in many directions now with that. But one reason why we can see that these things have no coming or going is we can't find them as solid, separate things if we look closely. So now I kind of say this as a dogma, but in the Buddhist teachings, we learn how to see this table in the way it exists by looking ourselves. So we get the tools and then we look ourselves, and then we see ourselves that table is not existing separate from the mind making it into what it is for us. And then if we put this nasty little label on it, which is mine, we have a problem. Because then it's not just a table. Then it's mine table, my table. You can almost feel like there is this mine, yeah? And then you don't travel light because you have a table. and then if this is a country, like where we make up the borders and separate it, then we have huge problems. My country. Do it for your country. So I don't want to say more to this, but maybe you can get a bit of a sense that there can be a bit of a lightness, so the no coming and going. There can be like a bit more space. Yet pour your energy solely into helping beings. Pour your energy solely into helping beings. So this is the amazing thing of non-dual compassion, which is so difficult to say something about it, because it's so paradoxical. But it's something like seeing everything as empty, unfindable, without having any substance, but being utterly in love with it. And being completely dedicated towards the healing of all these people you can't find as separate solid things. We have to talk about this a bit more in the appropriate places in the text. It's like, so Avalokiteshvara, the symbol Avalokiteshvara, sees all suffering. He opens his heart completely. It actually explodes. Yeah? So he hears all the cries, all the tears, which is going on. And he's completely open to that. And there's stillness in space. And there's an intelligence which knows what is the best to say in the next moment. Should I go left? Should I go right? In that spacious, boundaryless heart, which is in the same time completely free, full of love, but completely free, in a way undisturbed, but it hurts so much. So whenever in our training of particularly the first level of compassion where we are, so there's like practices we can do, they don't work really so well. I think, yeah, because the what will make our compassion flower is wisdom, not reflecting that everyone was my mother, because that's dualistic. It's like baby compassion. And you can't force your heart open. No, in a way, you could say your heart is already completely opened, but you put like a wall in front, and that wall in front of your heart is built from confusion, from ignorance. So with wisdom, this wall will melt away, and then that which is in its nature already completely radiant will just come forth. There's also, of course, you have this kind of provisional compassion practices. And that's also how they are called. They are provisional. They are provisional and they don't really work. I mean, Shantideva says that also in the 9th chapter. It's difficult. I mean, I think, one can get a sense when you are around like Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So it's like, here's like radiant peace and bodhicitta is benefiting all people around him and beyond, I don't know. But he, in a way, he I mean, it doesn't sound right when I say he doesn't care. But it's not like doesn't care in a kind of nihilistic, resignating way. Oh, I don't care. Am I? Yeah. Because he sees the emptiness. He doesn't take it really serious and completely serious. So love is very serious. I know I can't communicate this very well, but this is like beyond words. Yeah. So it is describing something which we grow into slowly. But like people like Lama Zopa, where His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when you see the lightness and the joy they travel with and they are much more in touch with the suffering of the people around them like us. I mean, they see it, they feel it directly, and they have this lightness. They travel light, they have fun, they are vital, they have vitality. So, and that is a sign for that union of wisdom and compassion. So when we practice provisional compassion, like those, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, yeah, so this kind of provisional compassion, which is a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing. But when that kind of compassion becomes too much, like when we feel it's too much, I can't carry this, it's hopeless, you feel like giving up, or you burn yourself out by being involved in 1,000 projects and the animals and climate change, and it's also it's also serious. It's incredibly serious. Yeah. Then, from the Buddhist point of view, wisdom is lacking. Lightness is lacking. The joy and intelligence to do something meaningful is lacking, which comes from wisdom. Seeing that all our thoughts, all the movements of our heart matter, and that we all make a difference because we are connected with everything else. So when you develop some, more kindness to yourself and a more you feel more comfortable under your own skin, that's cosmic. It's not just like your little private being in Zurich and I feel a bit more comfortable with myself. No, we are interconnected. No, the way you handle yourself, the way you treat yourself, has amazing ripples. So, and all that is coming from wisdom. So, if you are bitter, if you get to a point of it's too much, I give up, then from as a Buddhist practitioner, one would say it's time to emphasize the wisdom teachings and to see how can I bring this together. One can also go into kind of the other extreme, like to emphasize the wisdom teachings, and again come to a place of, oh, it's all empty, it doesn't matter. No, it's all empty, so it's all unfindable. In a way, it's all made up. Yeah. And it's awesome. And it's precious beyond words. And this universe is a safe place. So then, time is almost up, but I finish this. My excellent teachers and Lord all-seeing. So here, my excellent teachers, he is referring to the lineage of teachers. He has received the teachings from. Lord all-seeing is Avalokiteshvara. So, my excellent teachers. I don't know if this is inspiring for people who have not yet dived into the Buddhist teachings. But as I said, we are connecting with a man. He lived in the 14th century. I mean, he had problems. I mean, some of our problems are luxury problems compared to him. Yeah? And he received these teachings, and you can follow this back to the Buddha and even beyond. So one generation of men and women who tried what Togmay Sangpo tried. And then from the 14th century, it was handed down. Yeah, I mean, this text is this is not a text you read and then you have read it. This is like a lifelong companion. It's a text you memorize and you recite in the morning, or you take this text again, or you take two stanzas and work with them for 3-4 months, like as a reminder every day. So in this text, Togmay Sangpo wrote it for himself. He didn't write it because he wanted to publish a book, or and he was actually he for a while he was a teacher, so he was an abbot of a small monastery, but then he refused to climb up the ladder of his career, and he spent 20 years in retreat. So So imagine all the, looking back the generations, the wars people went through, the famines, and so on and so on. And then handing and so much tragedy and so much suffering, the most horrible things happening all the time. And there it is, the flame of love, passed on in this stream by people just like us. Yeah, they were Tibetan, they spoke another language, but they were also destroyed when their little daughter died. The same way as us. And that's like that. That's this kind of situation we are looking at in serious practice. Not pretending it's not happening, or it shouldn't happen, or I hope it doesn't happen to me. And so this is when he says, my excellent teachers, I ever humbly honor with my body, speech, and mind. So this is like bowing to this lineage, which is so precious. So many hardships people went through. If you just look at the Tibetans, what happened after 59. Yeah? And they handed these teachings, the torch of love was handed down. And it just didn't die. This is amazing. How resilient the Bodhisattva seed in us is. It survives everywhere. In wars, in concentration camps. It survives. And now they are here. Yeah, so these teachings are here. And we enter this sacred space of this lineage, of this experience, of this having role models. Really role models where you see they live this, they ooze this, they breathe compassion. I'm sometimes so inspired to be human when I see the resilience of love in people. It's amazing. It's amazing that people keep on being kind. Most people are actually quite decent. Okay, so I'm so happy to be able to talk about this. Tomorrow I leave time for question, but I get so excited. This is like, it's like, wow, it's so, this is so precious because, if I will get cancer, I'm going here, I will go here. I will be supported and inspired by the lineage of masters who have faced one cancer after another through generation or whatever they faced. And they emerge from this experience as beings who are more in love with the world than before, not less. They are more in love with the world. Okay, thank you very much. And maybe see you tomorrow. If not, get it somewhere else.
Just a quick organization question. I